1099 NECs for non-employment compensation can be an incredibly confusing aspect of self-employment. Understanding the ins and outs of these can be incredibly tricky. So we are going to break this down in a way that simplifies it for you so that you understand exactly what your tax obligations are with 1099 NECs, whether you be someone paying independent contractors or someone who is self-employed and receiving that money. When you pay or receive money for performing services, doing labor, or doing a specific job, and you are not an employee, the IRS requires that income to be tracked using a specific tax form. This allows the person receiving the money and the person paying the money. These tax forms are both issued to the recipient of the money as well as filed with the IRS and are used in filing income taxes. Now, there are two different categories of people that need to understand 1099s. The first category are those who are receiving the money and who are being paid. And the second category is those who are paying someone for their work. First, let's talk about those on the receiving end of the money. If you are earning self-employed income in the amount of $400 or more in net self-employed income, you are required by the IRS to claim that income on a tax return, file and pay income taxes on it. Regardless of whether or not someone sends you a tax form for that income, it is your obligation as someone who is self-employed to make sure that if you're earning $400 or more, that you file and pay that self-employed income tax return. Because you are not an employee, you are therefore self-employed. Self-employed individuals will file this income on Form Schedule C of their tax return. Schedule C gives spaces for you to claim the income that you have earned as well as list any deductions for business expenses that can lower your taxable income. These deductions are going to include things such as business operating expenses, professional services that you pay for, or wholesale goods that you might be purchasing. These deductions are then subtracted from your gross or total income, and what you're left with is your taxable income. This taxable income is going to be subject to 3 different types of taxes. Now, when a business or individual pays a non-employee, they're obligated to create and issue a 1099 NEC tax form, non-employee compensation, if they paid that individual $600 or more within the year. There are 2 different types of workers. There are employees and there are non-employees. Employees are hired by a business to perform a specific job, given specific instructions on how to perform that job, and often receive training on how to perform those duties. Employees are put into a payroll system, and when they receive a paycheck, the employer pays Medicare and Social Security taxes, along with several other benefits, into payroll taxes, which are removed from the employee's paycheck. Independent contractors, however, do not receive specific instructions, choose when and how to perform their duties, and are paid in full without having Social Security and Medicare taxes removed from their pay. Because these taxes are not paid by an employer to the agencies, the contractor is the one required to file and pay these taxes themselves. These taxes are known as self-employed taxes. Self-employed taxes equates to 15.3% of your total taxable income, and this covers Social Security and Medicare. That self-employed tax is paid along with your income tax return. When the tax year is over, if you have been paid $600 or more by a specific individual or a business, they will then issue you a 1099 NEC. Sometimes the business might not fulfill their obligations and you might not receive the form. However, you still are obligated to file and pay taxes on the amount that you received. When you receive 1099 NECs, either you or your tax professional will enter it into your tax filing and include it in your income tax return. This will be entered on that Schedule C, followed by your deductions, and that taxable income that remains after those deductions is going to be subject to 3 different types of taxes: self-employed taxes, federal income taxes, and state income taxes. Now, if you expect to owe $1,000 or more in the next tax year, then you are also obligated to pay estimated quarterly income taxes. Essentially, this is what you think you might owe next year in taxes, broken down into 4 even payments and paid quarterly. Anything that you overpay will be refunded through a tax return, but anything underpaid will be subject to a penalty. Now let's talk about understanding 1099 NECs if you are someone who is paying a non-employee. If you paid a non-employee $600 or more over the course of the year, in total, adding up all those separate times that you paid them, then you are going to be required to issue Form 1099 NEC for non-employment compensation. Now, if you need to issue Form 1099 to a worker, you first must collect that worker's information in order to generate the form. In order to do this, we use Form W-9, which is available at irs.gov. It is best to issue and collect a W-9 form from a worker before you pay them to ensure that you have all the information needed and that form is secured before they actually start the work. However, if you did not do this, then make sure that you collect that W-9 from them before you issue that 1099. The W-9 is going to include information such as their social security number or EIN, their personal address, and a few other things. So make sure that this form is kept confidential within you and your business and the IRS and the individual only. Next, you will need to create, issue, and file Form 1099 NEC. If you use a payroll software for paying your independent contractors, such as my personal favorite, which is Gusto, the link is included in the description, those softwares have the option to automatically generate, issue, and file these forms with the IRS as well as with that non-employee. If you do not use a payroll software, don't worry, you can quickly and easily generate these using an online tool. My favorite is tax1099.com. I'm not sponsored by them. They are just very fast, easy, and very low cost. 1099s will be issued to individuals, partnerships, limited liability companies, or estates. In most cases, corporations do not receive 1099s, but there are a few exceptions. The IRS gives the following examples of who should receive 1099s. Anyone who provided professional services like accountants, engineers, or architects, non-employee salespersons earning commissions, independent contractors who get paid for services, goods, or travel, or received benefits, professionals who received referral or fee-splitting fees, non-employee entertainers for services related to your business, and certain people who got golden parachute payments after a merger or acquisition. Most payments to corporations are not included on 1099 NECs except for the following. Now, if you are someone that needs to create and issue a 1099 tax form, click on this video popping up, which is going to walk you through the process of creating those 1099s.